This is your radio, K-Man.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dan. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio K-Man's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio K-Man's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much. We're only missing one. They say around the table should be four. That we have a good 6 up. But anyway, 949-837, 1-800-534-TALK. We have the honor, as we promised you yesterday, the man of his word, Shane Noby Edwards, can sit with us. And then we also equally have the distinct pleasure of James Jamo Miles, and we're going to share with you a bit. So please, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio K-Man's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
K-Man's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And been very, very blessed, especially to have the excellent company today of these two fine gentlemen to share with us. If you look, you see, you'll be encouraged, and as they nurture others through their very actions, you can see a wonderful example. Noby, thanks very much for making that trek from how far up, man? Winter?
yeah.
Winter's
Land? Winter's Land, sister, yeah. No, Collier's Pond, that way up.
Go further, man.
Yeah. But Jamo is the wise one here,
But that's what we have.
Have to commend him for all his great work.
Wise men come from the east.
Boy, but they didn't go back.
Except in the west, huh? Well, gents, thanks very much. And Jamo, thanks for coming in with us for a bit, because I think as we get a chance to speak to many things for the program, the first discussion speaks to what it is like to have not just fair play, but the idea, the participation at a level that instills not just a great sense of enjoyment, but the acumen that many athletes have for the whole idea that as a spectator, we want to see what transpires on the field to be almost, a balance between competition and fairness.
Yeah.
So thanks so much, man.
Yeah, and I want to wish everybody a wonderful playthrough day. Today is playthrough day. It has been deemed that way since 2014. It was a meeting in 2013 that some Latin American Olympic committees and anti-doping agencies said, we need to try to take this thing to a whole different level and celebrate a day for it. Mm-hmm. And it happens to be in April, and it happens to land today.
Today, man.
So happy playthrough day to everyone.
All right. So unlike golf, where you play through the rough, is TRUE, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then just for the listener, Jamo is the head of youth service unit designate, but also the chair of the medical and anti-doping commission
of the Olympic Committee in Cayman.
All right. I'm just from West Bay, so don't hold it against me.
Me too.
But just thanks very much, man. And I was looking at some old videos recently, black and white, actually, on a VCR. If you believe it or not.
Wow.
Yeah. Took a lot of alcohol to get.
I don't know you got it working. Lines and
so Q-tips and
snowflakes,
rubbing alcohol to get the heads clean properly in order to make it work. And it was a compilation that has done And it was nice because over the years you see people like Jesse Owens running. Then you saw the snippets of Ali in the Olympics. And then somehow someone editing some of the sports days from presumably came on. And the idea was the guy would say, listen, look at this. Look at what sports has meant for the world. You know, probably the only two events that may be indicative of world unity is the World Cup, right? The true world champions, you know, not the other stuff you see on Sundays. and the Olympics.
Yeah, right? That's it.
And we've been
it
part
pulls
of
the world together.
Yeah, it truly does, man. And sport can unite, you know, spectator as well as the woman on the field. So
and that's probably why WADA didn't put off Playthrough Day this year. They were thinking about it, and they said no. I think because of what's happening in Ukraine, and sports has that kind of pull of solidarity, that they should still do it. And this day is Playthrough for Peace, because of what is happening in Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah, well, I think they got a lot of other issues as well, like when it comes to soccer, some of the
football. And you went to American school too.
Some of the stuff that goes on in that about people being, you know, against other nationalities and stuff. I think it probably goes pretty deep there as well. But just asking, and not to put you on the spot, but I think that because you say associated with the Olympic Committee, right?
Yes.
There is an Olympic Committee theme for Olympics, right? Am I correct? I don't remember it. Something about, I think it's World Together or something like that.
Oh, you mean the mantra?
Yeah, what we're just saying.
Yeah.
What is it? I mean,
all together
Olympic
for sports.
Right. Okay. Something like that.
And then we did it back in the two sports for all.
And they have this chant that is in Latin or something like that. Yeah. Ever higher, stronger.
Susan will recite that for us later.
But I'm an Olympian. Olympians supposed to know it.
Yeah. There you go.
So we have an excuse.
We have an excuse. Yeah.
They actually have an acronym at the end of the name, OLY, for anyone that was in the Olympics. So I think every Olympian, because they bear the title, should know the chant.
Yeah. So just to say, just put my plug in there. If jet ski racing was an Olympic sport, I probably would have been an Olympian.
Yeah.
But then I would have probably had someone like Kanye West come up and say, "No, you don't deserve this."
You just sit down, be quiet for a bit.
No, but it is very taxing. You can see it from when he used to have the races in East End, and when they used to have this jet around Cayman and stuff. It was grueling, and you had to be very fit. You had to be very committed to even complete that race. I saw guys that they go to the gym all the time, and by the time they finish on 7 Mile Beach, they could barely stand up.
You know, what was interesting? I unscripted. I'm glad you referenced that. So long before Jet Around, you remember the activity that took place, starting in the North Sound, went all the way around, came on. Don Patrick was spearheading.
Oh, with the boats,
No, with the jet ski, with the jet ski.
Oh, yeah, they started it, yes, correct.
My brother and my nephew.
Him and Tony and those guys,
My brother and my nephew. It was a wonderful thing. Just as an activity to show that something could be done, right?
Well, I just got to shout out Don Patrick for being one of the best, mechanics I ever known, and who have introduced me or helped me out when I was racing. And, shout out to all those guys going out and going to be racing Jet Around Cayman again soon. I think it's one of the best races that I've ever done. And if I didn't have cataract surgery, I would probably continue. But
is that an excuse?
That part of it. The second one is I went broke.
They got up for that one.
So I couldn't. I remember one time, right? This is honest joke, a serious joke, and every word is true. And he might get vexed with me, but I tell you, I went and I said to Kenny, "You racing next year, what?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You gonna buy a new vehicle?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Really?" And he said to me, "You don't know who my dad is?" Or I never forget that. That was funny.
You should have told him, "I know Don."
Yeah. But getting prepared for jet ski races a lot, and one of the things that what Jamo is pointing out here is very important. You go out, you compete, but you have to be actually fair and look at it as being true to the sport, that we're going to be fair and honest, and we're going to compete in the spirit of competition, because it can get very competitive. And I know when I was out there, my name is called Too Frenzied, right? And anybody sit down and analyze the name, it's like frenzied is a state of agitation, right? So I'm too agitated. So I used to display that a lot out there because we used to go on kind of bad, but I never got to a point to fight someone. Although, I've had people kind of feel that we didn't do it right. Like I was the first guy to go around the island with 1 tank of gas, and people thought we put in extra gas tanks. As 2002, it came second, thanks to the Hides boys, what they call them now in West Bay. they set it up, man. They lent me their bike. So it's all about this great competition, and I really, truly hope that Gerard Cayman goes well, and that people really compete with the spirit of competition.
Well, I can see it becoming an Olympic sport soon.
Wow.
I think so. Right now, BMX biking is there.
Wow.
That we probably thought wasn't going to make it for a while. So a lot of what is actually happening and people taking on as a competitive sport, and from the time they have a world championship, you can kind of start to look towards but everything will be fair. You make sure that your machines are not on steroids, and the people not on steroids, because it's be quite unfair. And everyone think, oh, you got a small bike, it's a huge engine, and all kind of nitrous and all kind of stuff, right?
But we see that's where that idea. Take the bikes for instance, right? My brothers, they had the first Sea-Doos. Right. Don't you remember? Take it board.
The ones they start push.
No, that's the jet ski.
Jet ski. I never. I rode one in my cousin, but I never bought one. You know, but But
I mean, right in my dad's backyard, boring them out, trying to figure out how to get it. Change the pitch on the impeller, see what you can do to make this thing go faster. Right? First 40, then 60, and then next thing you know, you're hitting top speeds. Engine don't last too long, but. And this is where I think from the human, I will make a joke and say, what are you saying? But for those WADA, World Anti-Doping
Agency,
right? Yeah. And that speaks to the fairness of the athlete not being super enhanced, not just for their safety, but for leveling the playing field. But also, if it's riding a bicycle, or running a jet ski, or even in auto racing, you want your car to be the best, but there have to be certain parameters in which you're competing so that everybody has the same level.
Right. Well, for the record, I never used.
No, this is talk today. No, man. But even in that, right? And I was just thinking, back to watching the black and whites, thinking back to a couple of things. Liking it to even singing. We have auto-tune now, right? So even some of the best singers can even sound even better. Naturally gifted people with great vocals. But the athlete that has a program that looks at health and nutrition, and that is resourced in such a way, may already have a competitive advantage, relative to the other athlete that just comes in.
And I think on the Olympic solidarity movement also tries to level that playing field by offering grants to athletes and Olympic hopefuls in their development. So the development is almost the same.
Hopefully they're more successful in the FIFA program with the grassroots, but that's a different story. But this is where it comes back, I think, to societies and then individual communities identifying, let's just say sports. Someone who has a keen interest may have the aptitude. How do we nurture them so that through their schooling that they get introduced, get an opportunity to train and to excel?
Well, one of the great ways the Olympic Committee is making inroads in Cayman is through the Medical and Anti-Doping Commission. We do a lot of education sessions with young people, even from pre-Carifta age. I just came from the inter-primary track meet
2 days ago.
But I only could stay for a few minutes because I had to come here, but I saw some wonderful racing. I saw some young people that you can see that they're Carifta hopefuls, and they're still in year 5 and year 6 in primary school.
And if we can continue to develop that interest as we harness and hone their talents, it's going to be even better. Jess, we have the break to take, and for those who are listening, it's going to be a great discussion. It's going to be even better with your participation. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. If you call, you'll see Susan's wonderful auburn hair, lace with a tiger print,
What?
Let me be here.
You described it good too.
Stay tuned for Talk Today.
I had to check.
a caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
The annual business surveys begin on Monday, April 11th. The surveys are conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office and seek to measure the economic performance of all local industries. The survey forms will be mailed or emailed to all relevant entities operating in the Cayman Islands. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and are exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your survey forms to the Economics and Statistics Office. For assistance in filling up the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4607.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational. Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter will be taking appointments until April 9th at his Crew Road Clinic. Appointments slots are limited whether you're seeking advanced skin care, Botox filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles. Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.porterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That's 946-9020.
Who brought the sauce?
I brought the sauce.
Oh, I love this song.
I made the sauce.
Who got the sauce?
I got the sauce.
What's in the sauce?
Welcome to Burger King. Sorry to break it to you, but actually, we have the sauce.
Introducing the Burger King Stacker and Stacker King signature flame grilled patties, topped with smoked bacon, melted cheese, and our sweet and tangy Stacker sauce. Stack 1, 2, 3, or 4 patties, or go bigger with the Stacker King. Juicy quarter-pound patties, flame grilled to perfection. Discover the sauce that is changing the game.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks very much for joining us. Our guests today are Jamo and Nobi. And if I call a couple of names, you think it'd be a football team. Like Zayas and Fire and
Zico.
But even just name it from the plains, man. Yeah, but seriously, guys, it is a wonderful time to be alive. And when we see what's unfolding globally, when we see the promise of potential, what is here locally, we embrace it and be, the ones who drive, whatever is coming. Whether it's change something for the better, or whether it's embrace something so that we can preserve and promote it. But, John, as we talk about play a true day, TRUE, right?
Mm-hmm.
True to the sport,
True to yourself.
True to yourself.
True to your country, and true to those that you represent.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't do it right,
mm-hmm.
You can see the repercussions of it. It is felt by everyone that know you,
mm-hmm.
And everyone that is affiliated with you.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that the Medical and Anti-Doping Commission does is to educate young Caymanians,
mm-hmm.
Young athletes that represent the Cayman Islands, to make sure they know what they put into their bodies.
Yeah.
Make sure that anytime they're ill, that the medication they take is safe,
mm-hmm.
And that they apply for therapeutic use exemptions if they're elite athletes. So they everyone know that they need it to just become normal, not to enhance their performance. And that kind of stuff. And I think the athletes in Cayman respond really well to it. We have some sessions planned for this weekend on Sunday. The cricket team, the men's cricket team, will be having their face-to-face education session. It'll be like the second one we had in a few months because, COVID, we had to put a lot of the face-to-face interactions on a hold for a while. But I'm thankful for my Medical Anti-Doping Commission members, me today, Dr. Campbell, Carl Brown, and Shakina Bush from the Olympic Committee, that we can get going again. I really want to thank Miss Melissa Worms, the ministry's representative on the commission, for allowing us to use GAB and for booking it for us.
Yeah. And John, as you talk to that, some people may think that whatever performance-enhancing stimulant drug, you fill it in, that people would use, only applies to that contact sport or some other thing. But we're talking all sports.
All sports.
I mean, cricket is a great sport, and they certainly have to be astute mentally and physically. But they're not the same sprinters, down with the 4x1. But it still applies to them.
Yeah, it shows up in their bowling.
Yeah.
Fast bowlers are bowling something hard like a rock, 90 miles an hour. And if they do that with steroids, it could be 110 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And right now, there have been instances where people were hurt badly, killed by getting hit by a cricket ball.
Yeah.
And imagine if these people were not playing through and had their bodies enhanced to the point where they're stronger than the average person, faster than the average person, and they can deliver the ball faster than the fastest out there. It could be very, very dangerous to play against them.
And may I then ask too, I think into that athlete, the young person now, who may see this level of performance, there's a 25, 30-year-old maybe, and here's the 10, 15, even 18-year-old wanting to be at that level, not understanding there's a lot of training, a lot of practice, a lot of instruction, but time and growth. Taking this thing without appreciating that 5 years or even 50 years, the negative consequence that this enhancement would have on them.
Sometimes it don't even take that long. I think a lot of the negative, the Dr. Campbell would explain to you that sometimes taking stuff that are not good for your body in short periods of time, you will see the fallout quite quickly, and you start to your body start to deteriorate because it was performing at too high a level. This is why even elite athletes, they have to gradually decelerate and wean themselves off of high performance, because they were so used to, their bodies were so used to this high level of performance that if they retire, they still have to. If you are an Olympic swimmer, you still have to swim like maybe a mile a week.
Yeah, you just can't stop.
And then you gradually wean yourself off, because they would be swimming like 6 miles a week, lengths and timing themselves and all kind of stuff. But they need to be on cutting edge when they're in the peak of their prime. But as they try to retire and move into a different setting of life, they still need to take their time and wean their body off. This is why a lot of them choose other sports, that they still can get the adrenaline rush, still can get the heart beating at that kind of rate, and then they can do it in shorter periods of time.
Yeah. It's the mental and the physical impact on them.
I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because your heart gets used to going, and all of a sudden you want to boom, stop. Can't deal with it.
I mean, think about it, right? You bring that ship into port. When you try to stop a ship, you don't just wait till a few seconds from the port or a short distance. You gotta gradually bring her in slowly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the water is nice, but there's no friction there to slow you down. Yep. And it's the sort of but that was the analogy given to me way back. I mean, you gradually got to take your time so that you decelerate. And then for the coaches, sometimes they may genuinely appreciate it, depending on the mindset of the individual. I think it's changing, but it's for the parents too, to understand that you want your child to excel, but at what cost?
And we also educate the parents, and thankfully that a few parents will actually be joining us on Sunday as well when we speak to the Carifta team, the Carifta track team. We didn't get a chance to speak to the Carifta swimming team, but we'll find some time to speak to them probably after they return, because it's kind of close to competition time.
I look at your shirt, and I guess by knowing the acronym, Regional Anti-Doping Organization, we see WADA, we see the allegations or otherwise at the Olympic committees in different countries. We look at Russia some time back, but it's happening in the U.S., and I'm sure it happens elsewhere. Just if we're inclined, this is where the play through and the fairness has to come in from the very top, because you may have, if I could just use the Olympics as an example, a particular national Olympic committee in a country for whatever reason willing to turn a blind eye or to find a way that they can game the system and hide their practices, because now it brings greater publicity and fanfare to their nation. It has to be at the very top, like everything. The example has to be there.
Yeah, and there have been instances where governments were encouraging the medal count and stuff like that, right? Because they were trying to get to bolster national pride.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to be proud of when you're found cheating.
I mean,
right? So you can win 100 medals at the Olympics, and if 99 of them is tainted, you're not gonna get to keep none of them.
Right.
You keep that one that clean. That's it.
Yeah.
So that'll be your pride. That one that played true. Because once you're caught,
that's it.
Your glory is gone.
Think back to Ben Johnson in the Olympics. An amazing run, and it happened as it happened. Think to the cyclist now. Sometimes I didn't want to say his name. All these years of great performance, right? And then in Ben Johnson's case, how many years later? That is
about 26 years later.
Yeah.
Usain Bolt ran his speed.
Yeah.
And I mean, you talk about running ahead of your time. That's ahead of your time, and I think that's the difference between playing through and not playing through. It will take that long for records to be at that level.
Yeah.
It'll probably be a while before someone gets Usain record, because everybody's being monitored right now.
Yeah. And as it should be with everything. I mean, it's great to win, but sometimes.
I mean, I agree with you. I have my my thoughts on it as well, and even, I mean, what is bringing up here should be done for all sports, really, not just for Olympics, just to make it fair, because there can be people in other sports, might be in jet ski and otherwise that use something to enhance themselves that might not make it a level playing field for everybody else. I was very, I'm been very fortunate that, I started, a lot of people don't know, I was 29 years old when I started racing jet skis. And I never used an enhancement other than, you would take the JNC products or whatever. I don't know if those haven't.
No, and if they do, you just check the label against it. Right now, WADA makes it real easy because they have electronic prohibitive list. So if you look on any of your GNC vitamins or supplements, and if it's a item on it that you're not sure of, you type it in to see if it's on the prohibited list or not. And I think that's even greater than having the pocket one that they used to have before. They give you a list and you have to look all through. Try to find what is Exanapharmacy or whatever kind of name, right? But if now you just got to type it in, so it makes it really easy for athletes to check.
But it comes back to what we were saying earlier. If that approach is across the board, and this is where some people say, "Well, that's naive," but why would a national entity, again, not the typical Olympics, but since that is truly the global, to enhance, I like how John puts it, to encourage the medal count, consciously turns a blind eye to something. Ben Johnson, great example. He wins, we celebrate, and how many years later, Canada's embarrassed because and that's just one. I mean, I remember watching that race thinking, this guy is fast, and many people say you know. But
he made Carlos look like a boy.
Yeah.
I tell you though, going back to the cyclist, which I'm not calling name, right? But in the cyclist situation, I bought, I do cycling, do these tours in East End. So I bought, someone said to me, here's a helmet, it's going to cost you about $100 and something, and this helmet and that helmet, but then you can get one of this guy's helmet for much cheaper. I got it because it was cheaper. But basically because of that going on, like all of his products
just devalue. All right, we're going to pause and take this quick break. When we come back, John will share with us. I know you got to get back to the things, but always glad to have you in the company, man. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Subway is serving up a special new sauce, bursting with flavor in every bite. The new Savory Collection is a tropical sweet and spicy sauce made with a combination of spices, habanero peppers, thyme, onion, black pepper, ginger, citrus juices, and molasses.
So good. Wow. Sensational.
Delicious.
Subway's Savory Collection pairs perfectly with our oven roasted chicken or steak sub. Savor the flavor. For a limited time, only at Subway. Subway. Eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now. Reach wow. You say you need some money. JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we are pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks for joining us. And thanks to Nobi for the good company. But John Way especially, I commend you. And I commend, the effort, the initiative, and tireless commitment to our country, man. So
thank you. And I think the real reason why I do it is because I wouldn't want any Caymanian athlete who is competing at the highest level to be robbed by people that not playing through. And this happened before. The Cayman Islands was robbed of seeing Sidonie Muddersill in her bronze medal performance at a world championships because athletes ahead of her didn't play through. She finished fifth in the race, but first and second was tainted, and it robbed Sidonie of a true third place and our flag being raised at the world championships. She did get her bronze medal, but that was presented to her in front of maybe a packed audience at the Truman Bodden Sports Complex, and it's quite different. done the world stage that our championships was in. And that's the real reason why me and the Medical and Anti-Doping Commission is passionate about what we do. And to make sure that if anybody is going to be robbed, it might be a Caymanian, but we're not going to be robbing anybody of any glory because we haven't played through.
And you were hoping that all those other agents of this...
right now it's hard because the WADA now reports to the Convention of Parties. And through UNESCO grants and stuff, I mean, anti-doping is at a whole different level right now. It's coming like a full-time job now. Because you have to be compliant in a lot of different areas and to make sure that there's no government interference, there's no Olympic Committee interference, and that anti-doping just go and do what they got to do, test athletes, whether they suspect or not, randomly testing athletes in and out of competition, and to make sure that your national athletes play through. And I'm glad that we're given that authority to do so in the Cayman Islands, and that our athletes and our sporting community is responding in the way that it does, coming forward for all the face-to-face trainings and education sessions, and to make sure that everybody plays through.
I open up the discussion to know what I like in this. For me, and if this is the wrong perspective, I don't mind being corrected so that I'm better informed. But when I think of Cayman, the Cayman Islands, it's not just a brand, it's just a national identity and pride, but it's a reputational risk. So like many, for instance, as the analogy would go, who were expressing concerns when we were debating the legal practitioners bill, lawyers practicing in other jurisdictions, not subject to our own sort of jurisdiction. What is the jurisdictional risk? What is that potentially? If we have, as Cayman is, an opportunity for many, many sports, including Olympic sports, where there are no competitors, no participants yet, it's quite easy to come on board and, quote-unquote, be the national team, be the people who would get to the Olympics through Cayman, because it's the first time that somebody in that area can qualify. I think that we need to be ensured, one, they are, playing through, but two, that they're in the national team. It could be the national, marble playing team. They have to be representative and have a certain, discipline and ethos and integrity that it makes the country look good as best as it can.
Yeah, well, once they have to represent Cayman at the Olympic level, they have to come through the Olympic Committee. And the Olympic Committee will ensure that its Medical and Anti-Doping Commission has access to those Olympic athletes. Because Olympic glory is the highest glory in sports. And yes, it is the highest feeling any country could get when they're Olympic medalists. But it also is just as painful when you're being stripped of it. And we want to make sure that even if we're not medal contenders, that if by chance we are robbed of the opportunity, we're not robbing ourselves, because we too are tainted.
Yeah. And when people see professional athletes, perhaps basketball is more readily identified. These guys are winning championships, signing hundreds of millions of dollars, but they want to be Olympians. It's not just a notch in their CV. It's because they understand how significant, to be an Olympian. So kudos to the notion of celebrating play through, but understanding the importance. It's not just about fairness. It's about health, and it's about, a genuine sense of interest and enjoyment of the game from the player to the participant.
Yeah, and this year it's about solidarity and rallying around those who are not living in a harmonious society. And you probably see it on my face, but it is wearing on me. I could just imagine those primary school students, high school students in Ukraine that's being prepared for their Olympic team, and all of that is being shattered right now. They don't have school, they don't have home, they're refugees in a different country, and they were at the level where our young people are, and they won't be able to compete.
Let's look at the curve too, coming up the weekend, and as we send our children there, whether parents and coaches or others going, where's our national contingent? Where are we to ensure that wherever they go, that they have that level of support, that they facilities that they use, the food that they will get. Not to speak to what others may or may not do, but but what are we doing to ensure that we, you don't go camping for the weekend and not take your tent or whatever your supplies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are we ensuring that as we grow and grow?
I think the Cayman Islands is trying their best to make sure that all our athletes have all that they need to be their very best. Sometimes it is a stretch for smaller associations, but for those that are established, I think they do a pretty good job. If the administration is true to their cause, young people will be the true beneficiaries, and the country would be ultimately the beneficiaries of such investments.
But gents, we do have a call. Good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Afternoon, sir.
Talking about sports people.
Yes, sir.
And I just tuned in, but anyway, I guess the kind of gist of the conversation is the values that they could, and I guess some of them have over the years, meant to the Cayman Islands in general, and how little I think the general public knows about these guys who have what I call it starred, who have excelled in many sports, and oddly enough, I think that the ones that excelled at high levels was in North America, and we hardly hear anything about. And I'm sure that there were some in the European theater also, but I mean, and some of them have walked amongst us here for years and years, and nobody really picked up on it. I don't know. You remember some years back, we actually profiled two of those people right in the studio there. Donnie Borden, whose parents was up there born on Borgafan Road. I think he was born there also. Who excelled at the championship level in college or high school football, and also Rawls Smith, and even further back than that, probably I think in the 40s and 50s there was an Ebanks. Actually, his father changed his name to Howell, but he was an Ebanks fundamentally. And then there was also a Parsons that was a big football star at Texas A&M University. So I think Jamo, since you're in the sports ministry, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, maybe somehow, somewhere along the line, you can work in something that will at least put on record where it can be preserved. Some of this history of Caymanian athletes, not only, let's say, abroad, but locally. I mean, I'm sure you know the guy they call the devil.
Ivan, Mr. Ivan.
Yeah. Do you have any idea of his sporting ability or sports acumen?
No, sir. From the time I knew him, he had been a devil.
Yeah, but when
I heard he used to be a cricketer. I heard he used to play football many years ago when they would leather hide balls and stuff like that. But
yeah. But he was a great runner. Okay. Him and a guy that just passed away a couple of months ago, Alfred Hides, in one of the, and this is locally, and also another guy called by Parsons, who they call Schoonut, who was, he died in a car accident quite a number of years ago. But these guys, in one of the inter-island school meets, West Bay took the championship of all the various districts in that meet. So there's lots of sporting history that, and Jimmy Powell, great cricketer. Anybody ever heard the name? I mean, heard the name. Yeah. Or there was another guy, Rayburn Franklin, great cricketer, and Jim Borden, or was it Jim Borden? Jim Borden? One of the Bordens from out there, Bogasan Road. So somewhere along the line, maybe you can influence getting all these things, all this stuff down on record.
I might have to sit with Mr. Jimmy and see who played with him and stuff, because that was way beyond my years. But I've heard of Mr. Jimmy's prowess in cricket. I've heard of like J.C. Connor as well with football. Because they used to play against like the visiting warships and stuff, and actually beat them. And they were English soccer players and stuff like that played at a high level, and our little Cayman team would hold their own against them.
I guess that was the epitome of their of their what you call international exposure.
Yeah, international friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think it was Jim. I think it was named Jim Borden. Him and Rayburn, I remember one time down there, and they used to play at the West Bay pitch most of the time. And if Dr. Mark Field is listening, I'm sure his memory will kick in on this. You know, they were, well, I don't know how many cities hit that day. You know, and really, they lost the ball a couple of times because it was going on the bushes and you couldn't find it.
Okay.
So, you know,
well, Ms. Lux, always appreciate you chatting with us. And when the clock strikes a certain hour, the toll times for those. John, do you want to hang on, or you want to head out?
Yeah, I got to get back to that.
All right. But thank you, man. Thank you. We continue. I appreciate it very much. Play true.
Give me the time.
No, you're most blessed. When we come back, nobody can sit with me. John will get some turtle meat. Yes, Miller got it all prepared. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom. Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. Under the amended regulations which came into effect today, the current requirement to quarantine for visitors with vaccination certificates that cannot be securely verified and who have not spent the past 14 days in a country with a vaccination rate over 60% for the first dose of an approved vaccine has been removed. In international news, the Ukraine war led to a giant leap in food prices last month to another record high, the United Nations says. The war has cut off supplies from the world's biggest exporter of sunflower oil, which means the costs of alternatives have also climbed. Ukraine is also a major producer of cereals, such as maize and wheat, which have risen sharply in price too. Researchers have rejuvenated a 53-year-old woman's skin cells so they are the equivalent of a 23-year-old's. The scientists in Cambridge believe that they can do the same thing with other tissues in the body. The eventual aim is to develop treatments for age-related diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and neurological disorders. The technology is built on the techniques used to create Dolly the cloned sheep more than 25 years ago. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has proposed a 2-year ban on some foreigners buying homes. The measure comes as the country grapples with some of the worst housing affordability issues in the world. Prices have jumped more than 20%, pushing the average home in Canada to nearly $650,000, more than 9 times household income. These are your latest headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
Research tells us that the best age for parents to start having conversations with their children about the dangers of underage drinking is when their kids are 9 years old. Studies show that parents have a significant influence on young people's decision to drink. So talk, they are listening. The NDC offers parents advice on how to talk to their children about underage drinking and prepares you for the tough questions like, did you drink as a child? For tips, log on to www.ndc.ky. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks again, for the opportunity to sit, facilitate, and to learn. I even get a chance to laugh. Nobody, thank you too, man, for coming across. And as Jamo was here earlier, talking about play true, that probably rings in every environment. We would see it in academia. A person would not, be expected, and certainly one would demand that they would be held accountable if they were to plagiarize someone else's work. Or we see it in the arts. Just even recently, a singer goes to court, for either copyright infringement or saying, well, you took my lyrics and you didn't give me credit. So fair play and playing through should be the order of the day.
Yeah. Boy, it's tough because, everything that you put online, people can actually plagiarize. I saw a person did a print from a photo that was posted online of a prominent artist. And, I asked if he got permission. He said, no, he just printed it.
Yeah.
And I think most, me being a photographer and I post stuff online, people might want a photo or not. I mean, they might, I don't know. And they would just go and take a print of it, from the picture.
Yeah.
Of course, the photo might not be as clear, but nowadays some printers and some people can edit it and get it to where it's really printable.
But as we go to the phones, I'm glad that you referenced that, because that's something that I think is egregious. You have a creative ability. You take a photo, someone takes it, drops it, and republishes or uses it in their marketing brochures or the like. It's that, to me, is this tantamount to someone coming into your vault and taking your valuables. It's the same thing,
Yeah.
Let's take this call, all right? Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thanks for calling.
Well, good afternoon to you, Sterling Day, and good afternoon.
And to you, sir.
It is always good to hear him on it.
Good afternoon, sir.
Wealth of knowledge, young man, and accomplishments. Earlier on, you had spoken about the famous Jesse Owens.
Yes, sir.
The 36 Olympics. I think he took 3 medals, 3 gold medals, I believe. And look what he was running against. It was Berlin, and Adolf Hitler was at that time promoting the master race, so to speak. And that's where he took it. A black man. That was unheard of. Hitler was so angry about that. He couldn't hardly speak as human. Anyhow, because he was there in the stands. I remember seeing Jesse Owens. I guess we did meet him, have a chance to shake his hand. That one. Man, he came to Jamaica in, I think it was 1961. I think it was 61. And I was going to school here. Other Caymanians went to Calabar. It's the great Herb McKinley. He was the athletics coach. He was one of the famous 4 at the 1948 Olympics that Jamaica followed gold medals. And Owens, Herb McKinley had brought him there to meet, because he was so famous, even at that time, still very, very respected and famous. So that was quite a few years afterwards. But I remember seeing him, and a humble man, and what he said. And he also said, and many times later in his life, that Herb McKinley was the greatest athlete that he had ever seen. A great, just a natural athlete. And many people thought that also of him. He was just a natural athlete, born to win, born to be very, very quick, fast, very good. That was his way. There were other West Bay cricketers too. Mr. Arthur E. Banks, Mr. Jim, everyone now knows, even those who are not his era, bowling and batting, Jimmy, and then Powell, and then of course Mr. Bensley Banks, the wonderful man being laid rest today.
Yes, sir.
And batting and bowling again, and Mr. Arthur E. Banks. His name was on the board. He went to Calabar in the late 30s. He was, his name is on the All Sunlight team. Calabar always produced a good Sunlight team, cup team. That's the epitome of the school boys, not up to 18 years old. Great cricketers, many went on to become, senior cup players and so forth. But I remember his name was on the All Sunlight because they won everything. And his name was up there, Arthur E. Banks. I think it would still be there. And so forth. Just mentioning those other people who were great. With the Ben Johnson issue, it was very controversial. Because many people, myself, I remember it well, were convinced Ben Johnson was naturally faster than Carl Lewis. The Lewis, powerful American group with that kind of money, they pushed that thing. Johnson probably didn't even know what he was getting when he took that stuff to help, pain. Athletes are always taking things. They're up in constant pain. When you have that rarefied top field, you'll be in constant pain, twisted ankles, so forth, knees, thighs, all kinds of things. And throughout all the 100 years of the Olympics now, it's been that way. But they pushed that. But they knew, I'm pretty sure, that he was naturally faster than Lewis, than Carl Lewis. And that was one of the things with it. It's still very controversial sometimes. I know it's a great thing to be watchful and so forth. But many times athletes, there are so many drugs on the market now, so many different sports, doctors, sports clinics, that people don't really know what they're consuming and so forth, whether it's enhancing or... But this is a very, very controversial thing. It's sad it has become like this, but this is it. It's like the instant replay thing that overdraws, it's overlooks and oversights referees' decisions. So referees are sometimes useless and are there, not noted. As it was the old way with umpires making the call, and that's it. Leave it to the human thing. It's humans playing, but now we're leaving it to machines with the instant replay and so forth. So it will always be controversial in sports. But I do think that sometimes we have lost that old-time way, as Mr. Loxley was saying. There's so many unrecognized in the sports and the Caymanians and so forth. But we continue to press on and try to recognize them and try to do what we can with the anti-doping thing and so forth. But what I'm trying to say is we can go so far with this thing that it can make sports that no one wants to watch it anymore, no one wants to support anybody. And this is where we reach a dangerous area when it becomes so that we pit one person watching against the other, and with more arguments, whether this guy is on drugs, whether it's a legal drug, whether it's illegal, and it'll become more concerned about the reality of it, verification, than the event that we saw, some glorious event that would be in the background, and we're looking more towards what happened with it, taking of the enhancement or non-enhancement or so forth. This is what I'm trying to say. It may sound confusing, but sometimes we let things get into the natural reality of things that it maybe it doesn't really belong there. Just let it be as it was, and let the chips fall where they may. Have a wonderful day, gentlemen. That's all I'm saying. Many people might disagree with me, but then I'm old, so I really don't care anymore. God bless you both. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you. And this is where the dialogue and the discussion continues. Are we taking a break, Miss Susan? Is that the plan? Or we can chat and make it better? Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You see how hard it's raining?
Yeah, and I don't have time to fight traffic and get my lunch from Subway. I have so much work to do.
Why don't you order Subway by using the Let's Eat or Bento app? Save time, stay dry, and get your sandwich fast.
I never thought of that. Great idea. I'm going to order now.
Order me a veggie pizza while you're at it.
And a cookie platter for the office. Too busy at work or home? Is the rainy weather stopping you from dining out? Order your favorite Subway sandwich, wrap, or pizza through the Let's Eat or Bento app with fast and reliable delivery. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Call 949-7331 and ask about MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
It's Kirk Freeport's 50th anniversary, and we're celebrating with you. If it's your 50th birthday in 2022, we have a $50 gift card for you. If you're celebrating your 50th wedding anniversary or higher, it's $500. We'll also donate $50,000 to charities and increase the rewards for store purchases too. Purchases of $500 will receive branded gifts, while purchases of $100 gain entry into our monthly sweepstakes with prizes from luxury brands. View terms and conditions on KirkFreeport.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And in the studio, we got Nobi, and I think many people not just you as a avid photographer, an entrepreneur, not just through your acumen as an accountant, but more importantly, your true commitment as a champion for the environment. So I have to commend you for that, man. You remind us constantly.
Thanks, man.
All right. I think Susan shares we have another caller, though. See, when you come, there's always great people join us. Hey, good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling. All right. And we'll figure that out in a second. But I keep thinking of...
By the way,
yeah,
I just planted another tree.
Just planted another tree?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let me plant a seed. But that's so crucial, because too many times we don't understand the importance of what trees do, even if we take and get those big, broad, green leafy plants indoors. How we'll filter air, how we'll make it. But the trees are important. But not just the trees. Now we're hearing increasingly that the mangroves are not just good, for hurricanes, but they're great for the environment. So maybe at some point we'll actually pay attention to what's really true and important and evaluate it. But I was just driving around recently across Grand Cayman, and there's a nice inland body of water. Birds are there, even some days there was a little bit of rain after, some days it was really, really, really dry. How are we paying attention to that? I mean, to what extent are we mindful?
I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that the National Conservation Council is putting some attention to all that, because that's the board that's supposed to be putting a lot in. And as you probably are aware, they're now asking for people to make nominations for places that they would like to preserve or purchase, I think. Right? And of course, on the top of my list is, and my submission is going to be Collier's Pond,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be the 20 acres, hoping they could separate it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, the other one is a personal thing, and I think it was already addressed by the previous representative from the district, Arden McLean. Back in my understanding, he made a table in 2013 in the LA that he wanted them to consider preserving the Collier's, the Winters Land Cistern.
Mm-hmm.
And the Winters Land Cistern is very, very significant because it's one of those places that is a big part of, almost, it's still being used for watering cows. Mm-hmm. And, it's owned by various family members. And the intent wouldn't be to take the property from the family owners if they're using it for a purpose of for cattle raising and watering. I think that they should be allowed to use it for perpetuity,
right.
And but the property wouldn't be bought by some real estate mogul that we know would probably take it for their own purpose and not to preserve it for the reason.
Yeah.
Again, I gotta try to be clear because I don't want anybody in my district as Easterners to think that I want them to not develop their land or whatever. But we have to be very mindful of what we're developing.
Right.
I'm always, and I think these are very key areas, in my opinion.
But as I listen to you, I liken it to our discussion with sport. To the caller, the gentleman that just called, he said, we're taking away in sport because of the VAR and technology sometimes, the objectivity of the human sort of interface with the other human as umpire and as player. But if we don't have fairness in competition, so that when we look at the environment, for instance, and we don't protect and promote, preserve what is there, the enjoyment of the sport, because now it's become this thing, super enhanced athlete, roboticized approach to technology and sort of its adjudication. When we come to the environment and we don't protect so that future generations can also enjoy what past generations did, one day it'll be unrecognizable. And I think Colliers, for instance, that's something you've been, that's why my mom would say, dinging on for the longest of times.
Yeah.
Why is that, though, so important? I mean, from your perspective, it is a beautiful spot, I'll be honest with you. If people will just slow down a little bit and even pull over to the side and look at it, they would see what it is. But why? Why is that?
Well, it's important for me because when I started, a little bit before I started my tours and stuff, I actually stopped by there, and it was surprising that so much people were taking photos of birds. Then I started learning that there were so much different variety of birds that were passerby stopping there, and then of course the mangroves and everything in that area. But I also kept on looking through the years from the time I went to university, and I come back home, and I'm sure a lot of other Caymans that went away to university would say this from their area. Every time you come back, it's like a piece of you is gone. Something's moved, something is taken down, something's developed, and to be honest, I would hate to see the pond get taken away the way it has. Because years ago, if you walked up to Collier's from East End, that view was just amazing because all of the beach area, you can camp out in all these areas. Matter of fact, there was a place right next to Morris the Dougal Club that was just like amazing. You could, under the trees that you could go, they used to cook fish tea and stuff. It's gone, right? But of course people own it, so they develop it. Fair enough. Yeah. But if we keep on doing that, we do it on the beach, then we do it on the opposite side, then we do it down, we're not going to have anything. The Collier's Pond, to me, is a place where we have birds, we have a lot of things that seem to present nature in a way that you don't see a lot in Cayman. But I've seen down in Barcus, you have it there. So we should try to preserve that. We should have that. I saw in Cayman Brac, they say for this pond you can't do that, but I saw in Cayman Brac that where they had like this
the boardwalk, like
the boardwalk on it and all that. I thought that was just so amazing because people could go out on the boardwalk. You can have your coffee out there. You can watch and look at all the birds, and you're not doing it tear down the stuff, you're doing it in between everything. Now, I was told, right? I was told that this that Collier's Pond was protected by Ramsar, right? I was told that by two different individuals. And I did my research online. Ramsar is, a convention that various different countries have signed. And it actually is not a legally binding convention, but who enforces it? Because someone said, it's protected by Ramsar, but who enforces what we've agreed on? It has to be the country, right? So who in the country enforces what Ramsar agreed on? Which probably falls under the National Conservation Council, which we're trying to get a little bit of information back on that. So my whole thing is I understand that there's only one place in the Cayman Islands that's protected by Ramsar, and surprisingly, it's not the Collier's Pond, which I thought it was. If that's not the case, I'm asking again if the National Conservation Council, someone representative from there, or someone else can explain it. Or someone who felt the same way, because I was told it was protected by Ramsar.
Okay. Well,
Ramsar doesn't have that listed. So
knowing your keen interest in environment and in anticipation of, I tried to do some due diligence, and I reached out to the great team and knowledge over the Department of Environment to ask about Ramsar, what it is, what sites, if any, are sort of protected or listed, or how it works in the Cayman Islands, not just on Grand Cayman, but all 5 Cayman Islands, Cayman, Little Cayman, Grand Cayman, Barker's Key, and the South Solomon Key, or maybe 6. We call it Oil Islands. So on all 3 Cayman Islands, and their response was that the Booby Point on Little Cayman is the Cayman Islands' only Ramsar site. So there are none on Grand Cayman, there are none on Camelback, not Collier's, not anything. And as you said, a convention doesn't really offer any direct protection, or offer little, direct protection. Local and the national action is what is relied on to protect the wetlands and the like. So you were right. So with that in mind, then, if the environment is so key, if we have a National Conservation Council, if we have money in the environmental fund,
well, I was lucky. I was speaking to a representative from the council, and they recommended me to make a submission to put it on the list of those that they're working with now to preserve, or if not preserve, purchase, because my understanding is that they should be preserved in these areas, regardless, because it is the Collier's Pond is a bird sanctuary, and all of those areas that have protected birds, whatever, should be protected by National Conservation Council. But what kind of enforcement is put in place? Because, like we just pointed out, we have the Caribbean Utilities Company that has put light poles all along that area. Just switched it from the upside the road there. What is the protection that they're going to offer? That's what needs to be clarified.
We have, that's an excellent example where we're trying to facilitate development and growth and the like. Sometimes roads are aligned because it makes it safer. Perhaps it may provide better access. Maybe it even make certain properties more developable.
Yeah, and then on top of that, trees were cut down all along the pond.
Oh, you say hacked up?
and I was of the opinion that this was the owner and someone else, and come to find out, it probably was Caribbean Utilities Company that cut all those down before they put up the poles. So
they moved from the beach side to the land side. Is that?
Yeah, that's what they did. Yeah.
Okay. But again,
the poles look great.
Yeah.
But the trees are cut. Right? It looks like.
But then, what about the aesthetic as well? Not just the impact on the environment, but the aesthetic. The lines overhead and the like.
Well, again, I don't know. I don't know what is in place. What does the National Conservation Council, or what does any entity, Department of Environment or whatever, does when it comes to people doing something to a natural environment that we're trying to protect, right? What I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm just lost, but I don't see it being consistent because I see so much development in ponds in different areas, or where I think it's mangroves, and then they say, oh, we're not protecting the black mangroves, but we're protecting the brown mangroves. What's the difference?
But to your point, I mean, the passion is evident, and people who are listening, we have a practice that's probably going to gradually fade because of as the sites disappear, but also because of people becoming increasingly unwilling to engage personally. Many of us would camp long before camping was a thing, and Easter was a special time. Some were just because it was a long weekend, some were just because. But take for instance, many jurisdictions that have vast coastlines where you can drive for the longest of time and enjoy the vista. Well, we're increasingly losing that. West Bay Road, you can't even see the sand. You don't even know that there's water, on either side, right?
That is actually where the switch now is, and the most important things to most representatives or the government is to buy beach property. And yes, we need to preserve those areas to keep the view and to keep it that people have access, but we can't forget that we have properties like the pond and other places that do have do represent something in an environment that you can't get by just being on the beach. So it's like a different kind of protection.
Take driving along the Queens Highway, for instance. Still as beautiful as it was when the road was first cut back in the early 80s, and even earlier when some could go by there and realize there was just a track. But
I'm going to give a rant right now. And I'm going to put the representative in the district in the spot right now. He might call in or he might call later. But the fact is, right, I was just riding up there, and all along the edge of Queens Highway, people have been throwing stuff along the edge there.
That's almost everywhere, my friend, sadly.
And it's terrible. But here's what happened. There was a point where the previous representative had put a satellite dumping area in the district. Of course, it doesn't seem like it was working that great because it was all over the place. But the current representative has decided that there's not going to be any dumps, no containers in the area in the district. There's not going to be none in High Rock Road. So the people that have been dumping and putting their stuff there that they thought would be picked up, normally it's picked up by the garbage trucks and stuff like that, come up there. They then have nowhere to dump. So what they have been doing is putting it in all over the places in East End, inland.
All right, let's take this call.
It's crazy.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling Dean. Good afternoon, Nobby. I don't know if Jamo left here.
Good afternoon. Jamo figured that we were at work, so he better get back to work. Good afternoon.
How you doing?
Very well. How are you?
Boy. Right here enjoying the life I live.
Good place to be.
Jamo, you're touching on some topics that I hold dear as well. I said Jamo, I mean Nobby.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I have seen where actual dumpage has taken place by the grab trucks onto private property. And the claims say they were told that they could dump it there by environmental health workers. I'm not saying that environmental health themselves are doing it. It was told by them, by the workers.
Why is that?
I guess because they were too lazy to go to the dump or to the landfill, whatever you want to term it.
Well, just I don't want to take up your time, but what I'll say is this, right? This is why when they talked about having what they call it way back when we were going to put dumps in Bodden Town and the district, right? This is why it's important, because it's very difficult for people in East End, in my opinion. I don't know about West Bay, but in East End, to drive from East End to dump something at a dump in Georgetown. Most of the people that live in East End don't have that kind of vehicle, and they would have to pay for it. So we have to sort out the dumping situation. It has to be something that they have satellite sites that can pick it up. And I've been stirring about that, in my opinion, for many years. I just don't understand how people can't see it. You block off dump areas that people are used to for the last 8 years. Yeah. What are they going to do? And it's just crazy.
I know that is it, but they're going to wait until 10, 11 o'clock at night. Sometimes it starts from 7. They know they're doing something illegal because they wait till that time of day to go and do it. They're hoping that nobody catches them. They catch them, then they say, oh, well, environmental health worker tell me to dump it here, which may not even be the case. But they're going to find an excuse to try to throw it off from them. You know, you've got to have somewhere to, you would say, like a satellite site.
Yeah.
You have to. It's not no ands, ifs, and buts. But I mean, if a person has a truck and they can afford to pick it up and carry it and dump it on somebody else's property,
that's
they
bad.
can go to the dump.
Yeah. So what I've been doing, I've been taking my stuff. Although I hired a cleaning company that picks it up, or supposed to pick it up and take it away, right? Because I was one of those people who were very, vocal to the representative about it, and they made some comments saying that they're not doing this for benefit of me and prior representative, which is foolishness, right? You just want to do something that's logical. I do not dump. I used to take things like my trees and stuff and dump there at that location. I would never put anything other than leaves, right? But if you leave people, if you don't have a spot for people, I'm speaking on behalf of most of the other people in the district that some people are concerned about right now, right? What are they going to do? I'm sure it's the same thing probably in Bordentown. I don't know.
It is, right. Because where I'm speaking about is in Bordentown.
Yeah.
And the actual satellite site they had up there actually is cordoned off as well.
Yeah. So there we go. I mean, I don't know.
But the fact is, I mean, here's a person with a grab truck.
True.
That is dumping on a private property that is not a satellite site. Period.
Yeah. Bible, I hear you. And
in the Bordentown context, do you know why that site was cordoned off, as you phrased it?
I don't know, because it was right there by the clinic, just on you get on Anton Borden's drive there.
And do you know if that site is owned by, is it Crown Land or is it private owned?
I think it's Crown Land.
To my knowledge, I haven't checked it, but to my knowledge, it's Crown Land.
I think that's the sort of what we say, inference men would draw, right? So people assume that's what it is.
Yeah, to my knowledge, it's Crown Land.
Right,
but I mean, right at the moment, it's not being used there. When they used to be used as a satellite site, people would dump in and everything there. They wait till they get a certain amount, then they come in and clean it, and it was, I mean, in tip-top shape.
Yeah.
Now it's close to the road, so people probably complain and say, "Oh, it's so right and this and that."
Yeah. To your perspective, now, if those sites were in existence and operational, would you say they would be used for any and everything, including household garbage, or just vegetation, or construction debris? What would be your thought?
Well, mainly it was used for, you would say, the bigger items. I didn't see too many household, you would say, debris or garbage being dumped into that.
Yeah.
But you had like old fridges, you had sometimes you had car tires, you had different items. And you have people in that area that used it because the only transportation they got is the bus. So they would walk a few miles, well, not even a few miles, a mile or so maximum, and even with a wheelbarrow and dump what they had there. Now they can't do it. So they're finding another alternative site that nobody seems to know about, out of sight, out of mind type of thing. And they're dumping it on that. It's actually blocking partially the road that goes into the land behind it.
Okay. So is this a case where we need to sort of rethink our approach? Maybe use the example of recycling, right? So either national recycling or at home, we separate the plastic from the paper, from the aluminum, from the glass, right? So if we were to have a satellite site, maybe we would restrict initially, right? At the outset, all household waste in terms of what should go in the garbage when the collection comes along. But the vegetation, as you cut down your trees, maybe on time to time, perhaps you'd allow, as we do the national bulk waste cleanup, certain household items like discarded furniture and refrigerator separated out. Do you think that would work?
Starting doing right now, a lot of people are doing household recycling. A lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, you have more education to be had, but I know for a fact a lot of people are doing it.
Right, but not on the recycling. I say using that as an example, how we separate it in. If we had this, had a satellite site, but on the site, this you delineate certain spaces in this section, and this is metal and household in this section. Jamo?
And one of the things I want to say that in the district of East End, they have a section where they have for plastics and bottles and stuff like that down in the center of the district. So, but we haven't incorporated it into homes yet because it's not a national thing. But I mean, most of the guests that come to my Airbnb, they actually thinking that way, that they want to separate, and they've been separating. So the people who are visiting us are used to the separation, so we got to probably get used to it down the line.
But I know years ago, I traveled in my younger days plenty. In the U.S., they used to throw everything together at the same thing, and now anywhere you go, you'll find 3-4 different bins, one blue, one red, one green, one yellow, and items. And people have gotten used to it. People do it.
But in Florida, though,
here, if we were trained to do it, so to speak, we would do it.
Right. But with respect to recycling, it'll come back to the satellite site. In Florida, in certain parts, you can now just combine seemingly everything. You no longer need to separate. Presumably, the recycling now is done. From what I gather, you would separate the various items according to their, aluminum and so on. And now in Florida, they seem to combine it. But if you use that example on the satellite site, where you can come in and in this section you put this, and then you restrict, the household garbage.
Well, I will tell you, I was very impressed. Sorry. I was very impressed going to the dump because they're separating it, and they have someone there directing you to separate it.
Exactly.
So the dump is doing a great process.
Yeah,
I'll tell them that.
An amazing job, man.
Yeah. So, but I still think they can extend this to the districts and minimize the dumping that people are doing.
Yeah.
Of course they can. Anyway, take care.
Yeah,
man. Thank you.
Thank you too. Let's pause and take a break, and maybe when we come back, as we talk about the environment, I'm inclined always as I drive that we encourage, by your friend relative to preservation. Barefoot Beach, as I think it's termed, would be a wonderful site to acquire and keep as a national park. See what you think, man. All right, all right. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
Love Culture Entertainment presents the Kick-Out Teen Bashment at the King Sports Center on 8th April 2022. The Kick-Out Teen Bashment from 7:30 p.m. till 11:30 p.m. See you there. Tickets only $20 at the door. Teen Kick-Out Bashment. Be there.
Attention parents and guardians. Any child who is 5 years old by 31st August must be enrolled in an approved educational program, including government, private, or homeschooling program. Registration for the 2022-23 academic year begins on 1st April. Applications received before 1st April will not be considered. Detailed students' registration guidelines and forms are available on the Department of Education Services website at www.schools.edu.ky or by emailing edu.registration@gov.ky.
Good afternoon. Here's a public service announcement. Radio Cayman will be bringing you live coverage of the official funeral for the late Mr. Benson O. Ebanks, OBE. That's coming up on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 and 91.9 this afternoon.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks very much to Shane and Nobi Edwards for sitting with us. And as a strong proponent and champion for the environment, you're talking about preservation and protection, but also promotion, because this translates into great profit potential. I mean, people talk about monetizing certain things, but the economic value of the environment is sometimes, priceless, incalculable.
I mean, there's alarming amount of people that are visiting the island. I repeat this again from before. And they like 7 Mile Beach, but a lot of people are nature lovers and they want to see a different part. And if Cayman had two different perspectives to it, you got the 7 Mile Beach and then something to show that we're participating in preserving nature and that we have a good area that we can see. It isn't going to be what Grenada or some of those other countries will have, right, with all the lush stuff, but it will be something. I still think we should participate in preserving and being a champion for our environment.
Yeah. But the thing is, right, if long ago, I'll be honest with you, one of probably the first jokes in adult content that I heard, the fella's applying for a job, as a logger and lumberjack, and they asked, well, what sort of experience you'd have, right? So when he came up, he said, well, I was, first employed in a Sahara forest. You say, what do you mean a Sahara forest? Sahara desert. He said, yeah, see, that's how good I am. and Grenada or other places, maybe when we were first developing, had we been more conscious, maybe have we been able to do some of the things that we wish that we had done. Protecting of properties on the beach, maybe not destroying certain things for whatever the reason. But we can't, as you said, you can't undo, but can we now do a better at preserving? I reference, for instance, Barefoot Beach Gardens. Barefoot Beach, is that what it's called? No, not to infer anything, not to offend anybody. But if you drive in certain parts of the world, the U.S., for instance, you drive along the coast, probably one beautiful drive, maybe not as safe as some would like it to be, the PCH in California. or if you go across Oregon, or you come over the East Coast, even from Florida up through, to Maine, if you ever take that US 1. Bearfield Beach Gardens, Queens Highway, if we protect that to some extent, look at South Sound. I mean, 7 Mile Beach and South Sound is almost one and the same.
Well, I think last time, years ago, when I was on here, I point out to you too that although right now the blue iguanas they're minimal, I haven't seen them as much as before. It's been several months since I've seen a good sized one. But anyway, right next to where the Barefoot Beach is, that's one of those areas that normally would see a blue iguana. And it also brings red flags up, like what's going to happen. I know people say that there's a little iguana and that kind of stuff, but I think when you have, I don't know if people really understand having an endemic species that only you can find it in one place, and it's here. That's something special. I understand all the work that the people are doing, and they're doing a great job with the iguana reserve and stuff. But boy,
But to your point, Nobi, maybe what if, on the other hand, right? What if we do understand the importance of an endemic species, flora or fauna, right? And for some reason, maybe it's just jealousy, stupidity, ignorance, arrogance. I mean, using words deliberately that should prick people's ears, right? And somehow, instead of taking that thing and protecting and promoting it for the country's value, not just economic value, but you somehow replicate it and you send it off to the UK to be preserved, whether it's an orchid or whether it's okay. What are you doing for your country's value and image?
Yeah. I think they have sent one off to be preserved. I think it did.
Yeah,
but a lot of people don't realize too that it is one of those endangered species that people are actually trading. Because apparently, I was told by a representative from the Department of Environment that people were taking them out of the country, and I had no clue.
Yeah, I mean, you have to ask yourself, and this is where maybe we need to have a greater sense of value for what is here. Not just when we complain about the developer bulldozing the place, but what about the guy who you think is supposed to be doing something that isn't, or is profiting on the side? The things that we don't look at,
Yeah. I just wish that when it comes to development, instead of pushing everything down, people would plant more trees, and actually, you can build. I believe you can build in an environment without taking all of the natural environment down.
Yeah, man.
Because I've seen it in places. I've been just recently to places that they have restrictions that you can't build X, Y, and Z, but their house is there.
There's other respect and be
right.
Okay.
And there's actually restrictions on how you build it, and that's all it takes.
Let's take this call. Let's take this one. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon. What y'all talking about?
We got a good couple of Nobi, and as you always say, he's a fine young man. So we're talking what I believe is one of his greatest passions, the environment. The callers in particular. All right. How are you today, Mom?
Not too bad. Right here. Nabi, about taking down trees and then they're putting back up trees in the places where actually not going to be built or will not be built at this present time. And then they're taking our mangroves and then making hedging out of them and at the apartments and condos and so forth. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that, no. I mean, it's so hard.
Mangroves in various places.
Yeah, but it's so hard for, you would like to, go around and inspect everything, but it's so hard. And we have all these agencies that are supposed to be given approval, and you think that the planning department would do approval according to certain, criteria or whatever. But boy, what I'm seeing happening, I don't know. I mean, I think development got the better of us, to be honest.
Yes, I think so too. In planning, it's out of control, and who's giving planning all the control? We don't know, and I don't know if we ever know. And we got places being built with no back doors. They don't have any backyards. They don't have any front yards and all that kind of stuff. And we're talking about our children not playing outside no more these days. Where are they going to play? They're not building no places for children. because there's no yard for the child to go and play, you know. But anyhow, I just thought that I would just chime in and say, keep up the good work, and you all have a good weekend.
All right.
We appreciate you chiming in, man, as usual.
Yeah. And Sterling, you just keep good and have a good weekend. Do it to my chocolate.
I got high on my agenda this weekend. Any luck, and I only get chocolate, but I got to have it flavored with my little bit of sea salt. But thank you too publicly again for sharing from your backyard. That was so beautiful, Mom. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.
Okay.
Bye. But seasonal ponds, for want of a better phrase, right? That comes to mind. We drive across. Let's just say Grand Cayman. It's easier for me to drive. The bridge to the back hasn't been built as yet, right? And we see lands fairly low lying. When the rains are present, we see all the little birds out and about, And I'm wondering to what extent stormwater management, rain runoff, but also the environmental, considerations as we fill in not just the ponds but these seasonal ponds. I wonder what the impact will be as we want to monetize our properties and make as much money. The question is to what extent it's going to impact them and available lands. The heat island effect as more and more green space is being replaced by asphalt and concrete. It's something that I don't think we're conscious of. We run off to places listening to Lord Musk talk about nonsense, and yet we ignore our ancestors and their practices. I have to wonder, man. Honest to God, I have to wonder sometimes. But
well, like I said, for me, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of development and displacement of, the materials and filling and all that. So it has to affect somewhere else. If water used to be there before. So, but I mean, I don't know enough about development of that. The one thing that I know and what I believe in is for the last 6 years, 7 years that I've been riding around and seeing stuff, is that I truly appreciate all the trees, all the stuff that makes the environment what it is. And any chance I can, I try to plant a tree or get some plants from my yard. And I planted more than one tree in the last 2 weeks, but one tree particular because I just planted a coconut tree. One dropped from my other tree. I left it in a bucket, catched it, and then as I do, and I just put it down recently. I feel pretty proud of it. Another coconut tree.
That beautiful tree you're going to front that body. But something I want to ask of you, if it's possible, because you, like many like you, have consciously, despite your academic qualifications, your university degree, and you were an ambassador for the environment. A practice that was perhaps controversial way back when RED is hit. We see many of the local sort of players in the tourism sector exercising what they thought, on the law was something that they could do. Going to the hotels, for instance. As we've seen in many jurisdictions, you register at the hotel as you're checking in. Off to your side, there's a wall, there are a lot of racks where you can put roads where you can get information, right? And at one point, that was a bit of a challenge here. I would like to ask you, if it's okay, when you come after the break, now that we open the back up for tourism, you're trying to find a way to reach your market. You're providing a very, very environmentally sensitive and conscious product and service, right? Plus, people get to learn from you. Is there an issue with that? Has that been resolved? What is that like? Would that be okay to sort of put you on the spot, but maybe I can ask you when you come back?
I'm ready to talk about it.
Okay, well,
I just hope that the tourism minister are ready for it.
Oh, gee, maybe I shouldn't ask that. All right, we're gonna pause and take the break because when we come back, nobody can tell us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Call us up.
And Miss Susan, all right, she's not ready yet. Let's keep chatting. And
all
right, well,
we're not ready yet.
No,
so we can talk.
We can talk. Seems like I think she's on.
No,
all right. So I want to ask you of that.
Well, again, you know that I I have actually challenged or asked questions, presented questions to the ministry about that because of particular concerns I had when I went to different establishments and put up flyers and what have you. And to my understanding, this has not changed. The law has not changed. The regulations has not changed. But it seems like the practice within these hotels have changed.
It seems that our policies and private stuff can trump national legislation.
Yeah.
So Susan says we're now ready for that break. And let's try it. When we come back, we'll ask Nobio his experiences. Stay tuned.
Follow Radio K-Man on Twitter. All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Follow us at twitter.com/Radio K-Man.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. In the newest amended regulations, visiting unaccompanied children under the age of 12 years, even if unvaccinated, will not be required to quarantine under certain conditions. The changes are expected to increase airline and visitor traffic at Owen Roberts International Airport. This change means an unaccompanied, unvaccinated child under the age of 12 years who is a Caymanian resident or person with close ties will not be required to quarantine on arrival in the islands if they intend to reside at a place where all other occupants 12 years and over are vaccinated. In international news, people should be encouraged to measure their waistlines to check they don't have too much dangerous fat around their middle, updated guidelines say. An adult's waist should be less than half their height to reduce health risks, Health Body National Institute for Health and Care Excellence recommends. Measuring body mass index is also useful, but doesn't take into account excess weight around the abdomen. This increases the risk of conditions such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. The Ukraine war led to a giant leap in food prices last month to another record high, the United Nations says. The war has cut off supplies from the world's biggest exporter of sunflower oil, which means the costs of alternatives have also climbed. Ukraine is also a major producer of cereals, such as maize and wheat, which have risen sharply in price as well. Former Miami Dolphins coach Brian Flores has been joined by 2 more coaches in his lawsuit alleging racial discrimination in the NFL. Flores alleged black candidates have been passed over for coaching roles in favor of white candidates. He has filed a class action lawsuit in the U.S. courts against the NFL and its franchises. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio K-Man on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio K-Man app or log on to our website, radiokman.gov.ky.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. And thanks for joining us, and thanks to the Nobi for keeping us company. And I must say this, that as I listen to you, it's evident that you have a strong, unwavering passion for environmental protection and promotion. But also you seem to extend an invitation to the country, all of us, and whether we have.
Yeah. But, there are many people that think because I'm doing a bicycle tour that I'm doing all this for that interest. Let me explain to people about my bicycle tour.
Mm-hmm.
My bicycle tour promotes every business in the district of East End.
Mm-hmm.
If it was about me, I would only talk about my stuff in the trees.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And that's where the passion is so evident, in that you're cognizant of, the promotion, so that it'll do, a rising tide floats all ships. So as you promote the district and the businesses and entrepreneurs, it does well for all of us.
And why I say that?
Mm-hmm.
Is because there are other establishments in the district that do not promote me.
Mm-hmm. But no.
Right? And so I, even though I know that, I still promote them.
I wanted to go back to the idea of brochures. No, I understand. Yeah. Not everybody appreciates face to face as I do, especially. Yeah. I get that. Not everybody would rather a book, physical paper, to read or a pen to write on. I understand that. People like this online, one-sided sort of thing. That's not me. Fair enough, right? But even in the absence of that, if we go into a hotel, and I'll just use in the US as an example, even the seemingly more prestigious ones or even the budget ones, there's always some way, somewhere, not far away, that you can independently go look at something and be able to decide, well, what is available. I've even seen long ago, we used to travel way back when, it's starting to happen again, where one hotel at that time put their stuff on a fairly large screen, very much similar to what we see now in the corporate setting, where the registered offices are listed and there's this computer, you can see all the listings just flowing through the screen, or you can type in to see the registered office for one right there. Very much similar to where you see businesses have instead of an actual physical board with what is in the business, it's on an electronic TV-like screen monitor, right? So even in that absence of physical paper, there is a spot where you, as a guest at the hotel or someone just stopping in, can come into the lobby and get stuff. In the Cayman context, as we reopen the tourism sector, you are in East End. A lot of the hotels, or I would say probably the majority, are not next door to you. You got to come all the way down to get your clientele. Can you go into the hotels now, put your brochures out, or is it still the same thing where you give them to somebody and they throw them in the garbage as you turn your back?
Well, first off, let me state that everywhere that I've been in the world, I've seen a display rack where people are allowed to put flyers in there for services or food or whatever in the surrounding area.
Okay.
There's no question about why you're putting it there, how much liability you have, or what have you.
Okay.
Right? More importantly than that, the tourism law and the tourism regulations of the Cayman Islands does not state any restriction of that sort. It states that, it's the regulations part that states that that businesses should have, small businesses or business locally owned facilities have the right to put their flyers in a prominent location, or hotels should be putting a flyer rack or display rack for people to put their flyers in a prominent location in the foyer. It says it right here, or entrance hall of any tourist accommodation, right? So if you look back and you go to most of these establishments, you're not going to find that. So here's where the default lies. We have a hotel licensing board. Why aren't they ensuring that this is in place? Because you can license it according to what the law and the regulation states, right?
Presumably, yeah.
So my thing is, why aren't they? Why is it that I have to call up the ministry, right? Email the ministry, have conversation with the minister, not the current minister, about our right to put flyers within the hotel, according to the law and regulation.
So this is still a contentious issue?
It is still a case.
Wow.
Still a case.
Wow.
Right? There's some case that people have the display rack behind the concierge. So the concierge receive them and says they have to approve it. There's no such thing here in the regulations or the law.
The concierge says
they have to make sure that they're approved, right?
Interesting.
And then just recently, there's a particular establishment that emailed me saying they want to update my information and this list of requirements that they want for them to display me. I haven't responded because there's no requirement here.
Yeah. But see, this is where this becomes challenging, right? I know that in the restaurant sector not long ago, there were allegations that certain restaurateurs would influence business to their way by incentivizing the concierge. People can find that as a nice diplomatic speaker. Right?
My understanding is that has occurred, and I will tell you, I do not participate in that. Whatever business my tours get is thereby.
But if you're not able to even put your brochures, for instance, they cost you money to print. You have to go there and physically put them. But if you're denied access, and that was a practice that was once I thought I had.
Yeah. Well, I will give the tourism department this,
Mm-hmm.
right? Since they did rebuild the airport,
Mm-hmm.
they have a section up there where you can put your flyers. And the ladies there have been very good to my company.
Mhm.
And I've gotten a lot of business from there because they always call me if we go short and to drop the flyers off
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
And that's a very good thing. But that isn't where most of the business occurs. You can't have a hotel
Mhm.
or a concierge saying, give me your flyer, I'll explain it to the guests
Mhm.
and see if they want to take your tour. The guests should have the option to pick up a flyer, to make the choice
Mhm.
of their own whether they want to take the tour or not.
All right.
That's just my opinion. Or not in a tour,
No,
whatever. other
just the
service.
information, right?
And in these particular times,
Mhm.
right, there are only a few businesses that have survived through this
Yeah.
pandemic.
That
So
is true.
this is where you should be encouraging them. I go to the flyer racks. The flyer racks are very empty
Mhm.
because there's not a lot of businesses that are still operating like before.
Yeah.
Before they were packed.
Well, the adage, anyway. Miss Susan says we have a call. Let's join this person. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon. Hey, good afternoon, Nobi. How are you? And you have a guest. I didn't get you.
No, it's just me, Nobi. Jamo was here earlier talking about sports and play through day. But yeah, so it's Nobi and myself.
And how, Jamu? Nobi?
Yes, ma'am.
I can tell you what I told OC this morning. I've been telling the whole week. On a pelting too much rocks in the pen. But it's going to make up all the pigs. But we need the pigs to. I want you to. What you need to do is, I told OC this morning, I said maybe you need to pelt a boulder in the pen. Because we need to wake up all the pigs.
Or a pint bottle?
I'm not calling nobody a pig. I'm not. It's just a comment.
Yes,
Okay.
comment.
So I don't want to get it wrong.
Right.
We need to wake up all the pigs because Cayman has been taken away from Caymanians, and I do not have no right in no man's country besides my own.
Correct.
If I can't speak in my own country, if I can't get a shared bread, if you was in the next man's country trying to do that, you will probably be beheaded. I'm not instigating no violence, but I'm instigating that we need to stand together and speak up for our rights because everybody come to Cayman got more rights than me and you. It's a shame and a disgrace. And if I go down there and put my brochures, and I find my brochures hiding, somebody can know about it. Because it is wrong, so we calling on the government. Nobody is right. We calling on the government to let those people. I know Dwayne will probably remember it. Nobody probably remember it. There was an incident with Mr. Jim Borden, may his soul rest in peace, where the manager of a particular hotel was taken, and this is a different subject, but it's part of the same tourism, was taking the gratuity, getting his share of gratuity, and paying the staff out of the gratuity, so they wasn't getting no gratuity, they were getting paid staff. Mr. Jim Borden went down to Treasure Island, put the lock on the door, and told them that what he was doing was illegal, and the people had to have all their money. If not, that hotel wouldn't work again. But poor Mr. Jim Borden is dead and gone, and I believe when they buried him, they buried all the men, because all the men died at the same time.
That was one of those steel men. He was one of those kind of steel men. I don't think we got him anymore.
That's what I'm just saying. I think he was one of the last of them then. When his eyes closed, may his soul rest in peace, the men all died. Like the song said, that the women gonna run this country in the 21st century, then the poor women is who gonna do so much work. Gotta do so much work. We need our men to stand their ground. I want to congratulate Mario Rankin for whatever they did on Monday when he got on his show. He said that when he got on the show, he said he had to cut his show short because there was an incident going on down at the dump where Caymanians were not getting a fair share of the metal being transported. And he said he was going down there and he was going to come with the dump trucks and he was going to block it until everybody got fair share. He never said he would come and get it from Mario. He said for all the people that was into it, they get a fair share. stand on
Sure.
ground and say enough is enough, they eventually they can bury us all. I don't care who it is that owns the hotels. Like he said, we know who owns the hotels, but we can't make them frighten us.
Yeah, and they know what they're doing too. But you see,
they know what they're doing. They came to Cayman to make a better living. Because if they had good living where they was, they wouldn't be here. Let me not refuse to tell you guys, they do not like us. They do not like Caymanians. They only like what they can reap from Cayman. Just don't make nobody think that they like us. They do not like us at all. But we have played too nice for too long. It's enough of it.
Well,
okay.
I don't know about the liking part, but I can say that I believe that when we have a certain sector, we have a law, and we have a certain amount of people that are supposed to be enforcing that law, and they're not doing it. That isn't any foreigner or anybody that's not from here. That's actually us ourselves. The regulatory body is not doing what it should do.
Yeah, but you check it out. So see who they're doing it for. It's not Caymanians.
Very true.
So you check who's the head that is giving them orders. It's not Caymanians. Caymanians might be at the front desk or they might be in the bedroom, but the orders never came from them.
Yeah.
Bear in mind now, it wasn't Caymanians that gave the orders. It's those people that we put in authority that takes care of their own. And like I said, I'm glad that the people is waking up. We've been sleeping. I told Dwayne for many years now. We've been sleeping for a very long time. But I think we look like we're coming out of that coma that we've been in. Thanks to God that He's given us a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel that we getting some people woke up. But it takes more than me and Port OB and the few that will call in.
True.
And it's not no good if we just call in and talking. We need to now do action.
Yeah, true.
I'm not calling for no riot. I'm not calling for no burning down. But we need to stand our ground because they don't mean us any good. We can see it when me and you as a Caymanian, if one of our children go to education department to get a scholarship, they have to now prove that they're Caymanians. But a foreigner that got Cayman status can just take their certificate and go up and qualify. Something is wrong.
Yeah.
Somebody has to be held accountable for it. It's the government, and we elected them. We do not work for them; they work for us. And they must remember that we elected them. We didn't elect them to help the people on the outside fence. We elected them to help us on the inside because we are the ones that are being destroyed. That's why we change them so much, because we do not know what they are doing for us.
All right,
Okay?
thank you. Thanks, Mom.
Leave you guys there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all the best. Take care.
So, Sterling, she just made a good point. We elect them to be there for us, but in a lot of cases, some representatives believe they're here for us by giving people handouts, and that's the way they're saying they're here for us. But that's not it. You need to make sure that criteria are in place that the people of the Cayman Islands can actually benefit, or can work, or can make a living in the country. That's the issue.
All right. With the final break, good friend, when we come back, we'll talk today.
Busy. Feel like there's not just enough hours in the day. Savannah Pharmacy, service to make your life easier. Now you can WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. And pickup is just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays. WhatsApp your prescription order to 929-5045. Savannah Pharmacy, wholesome values with modern conveniences.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab
Ask our professional team about the benefits of cutting-edge technology with MedLab's new state-of-the-art digital mammogram machine.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road.
Talk today.
But I do have some questions.
Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and thanks to our listeners and to our guests. And today, in particular, in a discussion as we started with Nobi, if I might ask, though, you're talking about the tourism part. You always share with us the importance of our environment. I think increasingly, many people are starting to appreciate that it's not just environmental protection with some negative connotation. There is social value, but there's also money. How many people want to just live in the concrete jungle?
True.
So with that now, where are we in this space where, take for instance, your bicycle tours? Not just only that it's environmental conscious, you're getting some vitamin D and exercise and getting an appreciation, but people are also seeing firsthand, much easier than they would if they were driving a car or if they were elsewhere. Let's share this. It's not even April 1st.
Yeah. No, my tours are, like most of the people that come on my tour, just took a group couple and they always say to me that, they're just impressed by the way that I present it, but I'm passionate about it, and maybe that's why I do a good job at it. But I honestly believe that this could be done by other people in the district, because the environment there isn't only for me; it's for everybody.
That's it.
I just managed to do it, and I wanted to get other younger guys in the district in it. But some people don't think that they would ride up and down on a bicycle, and I'd be out there sometimes at 1 o'clock. I start off 7 o'clock in the morning. It's a lot of different factors, but I like doing that. It's healthy. That's the first thing. The second thing is, to me, it gives me a peace of mind, right? And to be able to be out there and just appreciate what we have around us, right?
And I ask that because I'm intrigued. Your comments, the caller before as the break, sharing the same thing. If the practice and the challenges that the local operators had with the hotels and the place in the brochures, public or private, as the weeks and the months go on, hopefully not too long. If that is an issue, if it's something that wasn't before, and if you get a resolution to it, be interested, because hopefully that's not a practice today.
Well, most of the hotels are saying that they're going electronic. I got approached several months ago before the pandemic. They were gonna, one hotel was gonna wanted me to pay I think $300 a month, and I'd put it up on the they'll put it on there and do a promotion for you and all that. So it's a way for them to get an income from it, right? But I do most of the stuff for my company myself, and that's the only how that I can keep my costs low.
Right.
And I would encourage any other small business to look at the way to keep your business
not to inject
operating.
You're being smart from the financial perspective, keeping your costs down so you can stay afloat, especially now. But if as you just read from the legislation, the legislation requires that there's a place in the foyer, in the hall. You reference it in legislation. Then
no, it's not it's the regulation.
It's the regulations to the legislation, right? So the law is there with subordinate legislation, but still it's part of the law, right? The regulations are part of the law. If in the law, right, as defined in the regulations, this is the requirement, no entity I don't imagine, should be able to circumvent the law. So until the law is changed, this should be the practice that is.
I agree, and in my opinion, they should not change it, because I know how effective it is to put the flyers there.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I believe that whoever put this in the regulations, the people who were setting this up, I believe it's worthwhile. I think it is a part of the law that should stay there for the best interest of locally owned businesses.
But people will be saying, we'll be going to paperless and contactless. That may be all be good and fine, but having something like that available to someone isn't going to create anything other than convenience. It was not going to do anything other than save the overheads for your business. So they're paying some entity the money to profit off of your work. But to the caller's point, at what point are we going to ensure that the practice, the law, and the economy is to the benefit of entrepreneurs like you, to the growth of the economy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you see, this is the touchy part, right? We have big companies that the government is promoting internationally, and I understand that they feel they've promoted my company because I've taken people on tours that they've promoted and talked about my tours. Granted, I didn't go to anybody. They came to me. If they came to me, I appreciate that.
That's the country's benefit.
Right? But at the end of the day, if they're promoting big multi-million-dollar companies and ensuring that their business stays alive, they need to think and consider this very small thing, the simplest issue that is in the law.
Yeah.
That you should have the display rack there for small businesses, especially in these times. I really encourage people out there to read the law, to review it yourself, make your determination, and you tell me, and you sit back there, and if you have any in your heart for what's happening in Cayman, you know the limited even small businesses that we have now, and in these times they want to remove the display rack, they want to hide flyers around the back.
But if this was a practice that was done way back when, and if it was hopefully resolved then, or if it hasn't, maybe it's time that it needs to be addressed again.
Well, maybe it is, but maybe the representatives don't want to hear that, because a big part of this too, right? These all go together. Is that we're supposed to have a tourism advisory council, which I've been talking about. I think that's a great idea, right? But maybe it needs to be expanded to have people in different sectors of tourism, because we have different sectors of tourism now. And it is supposed to have the minister and the governor is supposed to select, I think it's 4 people. And I guess those are the people who advise the tourism department and stuff. I mean, they probably got us down pat, because I got an idea who's being advised, but who's advising them. But at the end of the day, this is what we need, and those are the people who are in control. So if they're in control of that part, they also know the law and they know the regulations. Why is it that it seems like they want to change it? Why is it that hotels that are licensed doesn't seem to be licensed under the law that I'm seeing?
Well, maybe just as you shared, we need to be more informed, actively involved, and hopefully start to understand that your passion for the protection and promotion isn't just, for today, or isn't just for one, But always appreciate you coming on. Maybe your schedule will open up again and we can have a more chat with you going forward.
Well, yeah, man, definitely down the line. You're gonna be some fire going on soon.
Well, listen, I know when you come on, you're passionate about messaging and music as well. So, you got a song for us today?
Oh yeah, we always got a song, because I'm grooving, right?
All right. So Susan has queued up as you take us to the program. What's the song?
You before them, man. Grooving.
Okay. Well, we asked her, and that'll be as we're always grateful, not just for his company, but for his selection of songs to take us into the weekend. Any quick thoughts you want to share with us, my friend?
Just everybody have a safe Easter. It's going to be a lot going on. Good luck to all the guys who are going to be out there with J-Round Cayman. I still have a big passion and love for the sport.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not involved, but those who are doing it, promoters, Mario and those guys, good luck. Be safe. There's a lot of boats out there.
Mm-hmm.
That's my only concern, and I hope that at the end of the day we have a very good winner. A lot of the younger guys, my cousins, JJ and GJ and all those guys that I admire for what they're doing. They've done as kids. They were young. They didn't even go to university when they started racing. And one of the things I always spoke to them about is, and I'm saying this again, I say this every time I come on here, the key thing is to get yourself an education.
Yeah, man.
Right?
That is.
And at the end of the day, you can do whatever else you want. And all those kids have done very well with themselves. Corey, all those young guys.
Yeah,
and they're going to be racing out there and having a good time for the Easter. And,
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad that you champion the education, because some people don't know. By training and examination, you're not counted by qualification, right? So,
yeah.
You can do what you want, just have the education so that,
Yeah.
All right. Listen, thank you very much, Nobi. I'm hoping to catch up with you as often as we can. And as we go into it, it may not be that Easter is upon us until the weekend following, but our children soon will be at the school, so let's be cognizant of what they're going to be facing and encourage them into their educational pursuits. Let's have a great reverence and respect for our environment. And as we look at the gains that we have, let's make sure that we are great stewards for future generations. My friend, groove in, man. Until Monday, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.